To a monitor lizard, finding the crocodile's nest is like unearthing a hidden treasure. He located the eggs by following that tongue, much as a hunting dog might follow its nose. There are perhaps 50 eggs in the clutch, and given time, he'll devour every one. But if the crocodile catches him, she'll kill him, and he'll be her meal. Legends speak of a terrible lizard whose call is like rolling thunder. Cold-blooded throwbacks to the dinosaur age, they are among the largest lizards still living on Earth. 8 monstrous feet of voracious sinew and bone. Mythic in size, unpredictable in temperament, monitor lizards are rulers of a little-known world, a place where they're known as thunder dragons. Off the coast of India, south of the Bay of Bengal, lies the island nation of Sri Lanka. This equatorial land of quiet lagoons and wide watery coves is also home to one of the greatest reptiles in the world. Over much of their extensive range, Asian water monitors are killed for their meat or their hides. But in Sri Lanka they have a safe haven, a place where they're protected by modern law as well as ancient custom. Solitary creatures by nature, monitors can be quick-tempered, and when they come together, violence may erupt. They wield razor-sharp teeth and heavy lashing tails. Their fights can be violent and bloody. They will battle for food and the right to mate, but every fight is ultimately a struggle for survival. Large but quick, awkward but agile, they are masters of ritualized combat. It is May, and the mangrove swamps shimmer in the fiery heat of the day. Heavy with eggs, a female monitor searches for a place to dig her nest. An empty termite mound or a tree hollow would suit her just fine, but those options may not be available. She seeks a fortress of solitude for her precious eggs, and if she has to, she'll construct it herself. At last, she locates a good building site, a place she gambles predators won't find her eggs while they're incubating. But she designs her womb-like shelter to defeat more than hungry predators. The burrow must also be temperature regulated. If she lays her eggs too close to the surface, they'll bake in Sri Lanka's tropical heat. But if she deposits them too deep in the cool earth, low temperatures may sabotage their development. At last the time is right. It may take her an hour to deposit the leathery white eggs. Monitor mothers do not raise or tend their young. For this breeding season, she has performed her final maternal act. Six months later, no predator has breached the security of the nest, but the heat and humidity necessary for the egg's survival have spawned a more insidious enemy. A killing fungus has smothered the clutch. The eggs are lifeless, all that is but one. The sole survivor of the entire clutch, this 10-inch youngster, is entering a dangerous world. Hatchlings grow quickly, but they are extremely vulnerable. Born nearly defenseless, they are little morsels in a remorseless world. In the months to come, his single challenge will be staying alive, and he'll have to do it alone. And the forest is full of predators, including massive full-grown monitors that won't hesitate to eat their own. A mature monitor can grow to more than 8 feet, including its powerful, sinuous tail. His flickering tongue has caught the odor of the exposed nesting site. It picks up scent particles in the air and transfers them to a special organ in the roof of his mouth. For a hatchling, knowing when to run and when to hide can mean the difference between life and death. He must find a home, a sheltered safe haven. It's dangerous down on the forest floor, but death also prowls the sky. The white-bellied sea eagle is a sharp-eyed killer. Its diet is largely fish, but it hunts sea snakes, as well as the occasional young lizard. Despite a naturally low profile and instinctively cautious ways, he'll be dead before sunset if he stays out in the open. Young water monitors depend on the relative safety of trees. They are natural, agile climbers. But this tree has been colonized by weaver ants. Experts in chemical warfare, they spray burning formic acid at any intruder. Tenacious hunters and scavengers, what they lack in size, they make up for in sheer numbers. They mount their assault in a relentless wave. Most targets are simply overwhelmed. Even full-grown monitors can find them too much to take. In the presence of multiple threats, the hatchling lays low on the forest floor. But with darkness approaching and temperatures dropping, he can't stay here for long. He must find refuge, and at last it seems he has done it. A tree hollow offers the promise of protection, temporary shelter from the ever-present danger just outside. As the hatchling settles in, the graveyard shift begins to stir. Under cover of darkness, a new cast of characters emerge. Each of these nighttime players is engaged in its own constant struggle for survival. Just like their daytime counterparts, they play out the same roles, predator and prey, in the endless game of life. The morning sun warms our young hatchling. Now his empty stomach compels him to act. To eat, he must capture a meal, and that means going back into the land of the giants. It's Sri Lanka's searing dry season, and wilting heat is steadily evaporating the swampy pools left over from the last monsoon. It may be a disaster for the fish, but it's a windfall for hungry monitors. Our hatchling needs to find a meal of his own, but first he must make it past his hungry brethren. For now, most of them are preoccupied. After all, there's a banquet before them. A tiny hatchling simply pales in comparison. They're too busy gorging themselves on fish. But sometimes survival is just a matter of sheer luck. It's a game of chance, and many young monitors won't make it through their first year. When danger threatens, monitors often seek out the water, but water isn't always a sanctuary. Crocodiles eat fish. but they eat hatchlings too. Close encounters with predators are part of a hatchling's life, but they're not always running for their lives. Sometimes it's the hatchling that's on the hunt, and this one's in desperate need of a good meal. Fiddler crabs are plentiful on this beach. Fine dining awaits a quick, resourceful hunter. The hatchling senses he's near his goal. He's already singled out the first course. Another appetizer, and he's ready to tackle the main course. His eyes may be bigger than his stomach, and then again, maybe not. A natural-born hunter, he learns a lesson with each successful kill. If a hatchling can survive the first year of life out here, it stands a good chance of reaching adulthood. But not all the trials of life involve hunting or being hunted. In Sri Lanka, a simple change in season transforms this landscape into another world. The relentless heat of the dry season is coming to an end. The monsoon has arrived. During the monsoon season, perhaps 100 inches of rain will fall over southwestern Sri Lanka, complicating the lives of little creatures. Even for a water monitor, it takes time to grow accustomed to a storm like this. As the seasons pass, young monitors will grow steadily, sometimes tripling their size in the first year. By the time a water monitor is 4 years old, it can prey on some of the same animals it once feared. With maturity comes a different life, a different set of challenges and troubles. He may have outgrown all but the largest predators, but that doesn't mean he's king of the forest. With this year's monsoon drawing to a close, it's time to find out who's who in the local pecking order. At over 6 feet long, this monitor is all but full grown. His muzzle scans side to side, like radar tracking a target. He's a formidable hunter, but now he's a relentless scavenger too. He relies on carrion for much of his food, and that brings its own challenges. The stench of decaying flesh draws him into the forest. A dominant male has caught the smell too. He's 8 feet long and much heavier. Which risks to take and which to avoid? Knowing the difference can lengthen your life. The younger male gives way without a fight. Discretion is the better part of valor. He's not ready to challenge a dominant male. He needs more experience and a lot more weight. Saltwater crocodiles are another reptile that inhabits this coastal region. She's just finished laying a clutch of eggs. It will be about 70 days before they hatch. And unlike monitors, mother crocodiles guard their nests. To a monitor lizard, finding the crocodile's nest is like unearthing a hidden treasure. He located the eggs by following that tongue, much as a hunting dog might follow its nose. There are perhaps 50 eggs in the clutch, and given time, he'll devour every one. But if the crocodile catches him, she'll kill him, and he'll be her meal. The crocodile will stay near what remains of her clutch, but the monitor knows to keep moving. Water monitors are strong swimmers, and they're sometimes seen in open waters offshore. These mangrove roots are a nursery for fish that frequent nearby coral reefs. But underwater, a monitor's vision is less than acute, and they cannot take advantage of abundant prey. Although Sri Lanka still has unspoiled coral reefs, it's a densely populated land, and few stretches of its coastline are without some human presence. But water monitor lizards are not hunted or persecuted here, and they adapt well to living near people. Jerry Martin from India's Centre for Herpetology and Mohammed Bahir from Sri Lanka's Wildlife Heritage Trust are studying the monitor population here. The giant lizards are relatively accustomed to human beings, and this one is slow to respond when the team first approaches. A water monitor can stay submerged for up to 30 minutes, so Jerry decides to go in after him. But grappling with a frightened lizard in his own element puts Jerry at a distinct disadvantage. And in this underwater rodeo, the cowboy comes up empty-handed. The team heads off to try its luck elsewhere, and the lizard seems to listen as they depart. He managed to elude the research team, only to be trapped by his own desires. Fishing nets are sometimes a fatal hazard. A struggling monitor can quickly exhaust itself and drown. But help is at hand. The locals summon the research team whenever they know a lizard is trapped. They'll drag him onto the shore first, then free him from the net. Many myths surround water monitors in Sri Lanka. Some people believe that they're venomous and that they can slice a man in two with their tails. Water monitors are not widely studied. The work Jerry and Mohammed do may eventually yield valuable information and data. They clip scales from the monitor's tail to indicate that the animal has been counted and measured. If they encounter this one again, they can identify him and discover more about his home range and rate of growth. Monitors like to frequent areas where people have settled. Where there are people, there is food. As many monitors learn during the course of their lives, raiding a village compound often yields an easy meal. For the monitor, a hunter whose skills have been honed over millions of years of evolution, this is the equivalent of a free lunch. Monitors often return to the site of a successful hunt. Before long, you'll be back for more. Monitors may act like giant pests on occasion, but most of their meals are hard-earned. Back in the mangroves, there's another meal to be had, though this one will be more difficult to come by. A crocodile mother's long vigil is over. Her eggs have started to hatch. She responds to her hatchlings' calls, but their distinctive cries also alert a water monitor. With a tenderness equal to her ferocity, she carefully combs through the nest to liberate its new contents. One by one, between those terrible teeth, she gingerly carries each hatchling to the water. Unlike monitor lizards, crocodiles are remarkably good mothers. She'll stay with her brood for months. With the mother crocodile standing guard, the live hatchlings are well protected. But the nest is another matter. It still contains unhatched eggs, and stillborn crocodiles are a tempting meal to an opportunist. It was a risk well worth taking. A cobra is drawn from its lair by the scent of the hatching eggs. The cobra's venom is deadly, but this is far from a one-sided contest. First, they size each other up. Then they exchange threats. After a parting shot, the monitor moves off. The cobra's left with little more than empty shells. The party was over before he arrived. Which risks to take and which to avoid? Our monitor is gradually learning the difference. As dusk approaches, it's no longer necessary to hide, but adult monitors do have their share of problems. Mosquitoes, for one, which are masters at probing vulnerable spots between a monitor's scales. Water monitors maintain a relatively low body temperature, so unlike some other species of lizards, they are active even in the early morning. As soon as he's up and about, he homes in on the scent of breakfast. Today, it's a dead shark, beached, bloated, and ripe for voracious scavengers. For the moment, our monitor has the carcass to himself, but soon other monitors will arrive. Sharing may take place among equally matched dragons, but when a dominant male arrives, the younger monitor is in for a fight. The struggle is over in seconds. The younger monitor is simply outmatched. While the dominant male gorges himself, our monitor watches and waits. When the dominant male can eat no more, the younger male can approach without starting a fight. He's left with the spoils, but will he have time to eat? The rotting carcass has lured more monitors, each one eager to challenge for a share of his prize. He now faces an almost impossible task, fending off an army of hungry competitors. Both sexes take part in battles for food, and females often fight males. Our monitor is unable to establish his supremacy here, so the fighting descends into chaos. Exhausted by the struggle, he retreats to the creek bottom for a rest. This is an opportunity for other scavengers. Crabs and fish pick at loose skin, and the fragments of shark flesh clinging to his scales. Our monitor's attention is drawn to a female nearby. Females perfume parts of the forest when they're ready to mate. Her scent has already attracted several ardent suitors, and a dominant male is busy asserting his rights. As the dominant male defeats one suitor, our monitor announces a challenge of his own, and a new fight begins. These ritual contests have been observed to last for 45 minutes. The object is to throw your opponent and pin him down. The battle for sexual dominance is a display of strength, not a fight to the finish. Our monitor has finally triumphed, and now it's time to claim his reward. He tries using a little gentle persuasion, water monitor style. Females are often aggressive towards potential mates, and if he isn't careful, she might bite him. He perseveres. And at last, she accepts him. Now mating begins. And a healthy male will attempt to mate as many times as possible. Our monitor is a survivor. He's endured years of struggle and overcome long odds to reach this point. But he has finally joined the ranks of dominant males. Yet his position will never be totally secure. Other giant lizards will challenge him, and even if he wins most battles, there will always be new pretenders to the throne. Thanks to the beliefs of its people, Sri Lanka is a sanctuary for water monitors. If all goes well, this thunder dragon will live for many more years, and his descendants will walk these shores for centuries to come.